the same way. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Right. It needs to be kind of a more intimate, small groups. Oh no. Yeah, I love it. You like redemption song feels good? I love it.
Good morning. Good morning, friends. Good morning. Hello. Let's get people from the foyer into the seats. Robert. 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 Good morning, everyone. So called out. Oh, here comes everybody. I don't know what it was about this morning, but time slipped away and we're all blowing in here at the last minute. We have quite a treat today, except I don't have my notes. I'll be right back. The treat would be ad lib. Our own Anisha and John are speaking today, and I'm looking forward to this so much. The beauty of this community is that we have spiritual leaders who speak twice a month typically, and then the speakers emerge from within the community or outside the community, and we share our spiritual paths, our gifts. So there's a lot of variety that happens here, anchored with the sweetness of Reverend Jim and Reverend Sharon. So it's a lovely arrangement we've got. And then Jim and Sharon get to be congregants as well. They get to hang out and have a spiritual community of their own. And I tell you what, it's a hard job being a spiritual leader. So actually, thank you, Jim and Sharon. Yay! We meet every Wednesday, and who knew that there's there's a lot of stuff that goes on to make a church happen. So anyway, we're blessed to have you today. Thank you so much. Do we have any newcomers to? We're going to plunk a welcome packet in your hand. Welcome. Glad you're here. Welcome to the folks online. We're glad you're here, and there's all kinds of reasons that it's easier or only accessible online. So we have a thriving online community, and we're grateful you're there. So hi, folks online. We have a prayer chaplain program, and our prayer chaplain who will be sitting with folks after the service today, if you're interested, is Robert Hudgens, and he will meet you back in the Myrtle Room if you'd like somebody to pray with you this morning. The Youth and Family Program is continuing their unit on Unity Community. It Takes a Village. And today, they're interviewing me. So I'm looking forward to seeing the kids. We had a fall concert here 2 Fridays ago, and it was a rollicking success. We raised $1,870 for the community. But the fun generated was about quadruple that, at least. The family fun night is coming Friday from 6 to 8. It will be here, but it's a Halloween theme party, costumes, pumpkins, games, and food. And as we all know at this point, family fun night is not just for kids. It's for all of us, and we get to interact with our kids as well. Outdoor cleanup on Saturday from 8 to 2. We're still looking for volunteers. The clipboard will come around. So Anisha is sponsoring a soul-centered Saturday coming up on November 4th. So the workshop will include yoga, meditation, walking the labyrinth, and making a mandala. So if you'd like to be part of the special day, you can sign up. But I bet after you see Anisha in action today, there will be more takers. Woohoo! I would think so. On Sunday, November 5th, we'll be having a pancake breakfast. The youth will be fixing pancakes, bacon, sausage, coffee, and tea, all for $10. Fun community event. Proceeds go to Unity. And the Unity Community Choir will have their next 2 practices on Monday, October 30th, and Tuesday, November 14th. So I think we have all witnessed that the most fun in the house is the choir. So I don't think anybody's having more fun than the choir. And you don't have to audition. There's no requirement other than a desire to have fun with the music. So feel free to join. And we've been talking about once there's more people on stage than there are in the pews, we'll have to make the stage bigger. So after the sign gets up, we'll think about the stage. Holly, what time does the choir meet? 6. Thank you. It's not on my notes. Okay, community lunch bunch goes to the back porch cafe after the service today. And Courtney, please come up.
That's crazy. Good morning. So Anne's been mentioning how great fun the concert was. Many of you were there. Some of you were not. Either way, there are probably about 9 videos on Facebook and Instagram and a bunch of pictures. So if you want to either relive it or see what was going on that night, it was really a blast. So check it out. So just go to Unity of Fort Collins, Facebook or Instagram to see that. And then just a reminder about bookshop.org. Unity of Fort Collins has a page within that website, bookshop.org. And any books you buy there, and they're not just spiritual books, they're any genre, we get 30% of your purchase. So it's a really great way to fundraise without really doing anything different for yourself. So if you're shopping for books online, go to bookshop.org. And the web address, this note is in the bookstore, so you can pick that up and it has the exact web address. There's also this in the entry at the welcome table. It also has the web address. And then on our own website, Unity Fort Collins, there's a link to it. So it makes it so easy for you. So shopping for books online, please go to bookshop.org and do it there. And also they sell gift cards. So think about that for Christmas gifts. Thanks.
Yeah, good deal. All right. Whew. Well, let's do our Unity blessing together. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Please join along. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes before they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hands, they were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause even they cannot stop the tide. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand beside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. You've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption song, redemption song, redemption song, redemption song. And now a reading by Dale.
Good morning. Am I close enough now? Okay. A Blessing for Presence by John O'Donohue. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you receive great encouragement when new frontiers beckon. May you respond to the call of your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May the flame of anger free you from falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame and anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you be consoled in the symmetry of your own soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder.
And please join along again. May I I be mighty as an oak tree, rooted deeply into the earth. May I be free as the golden eagle. May I be humble like the bumblebee. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. May I be expansive as the ocean, holding space for both peace and storm. And though the waves may topple me over, help me to see I am the sea. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. And when the darkness closes in, lightning crashing, thoughts are thundering, help me remember, love is the ocean, love is the ocean. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. Oh, to be grateful. I am thankful. Oh, just to be. Grant us compassion in action, relaxing to harmony. Oh, to sing like the golden eagles, and to be humble like the bumblebee. To be humble. And to be humble like the bumblebee.
Anisha and John.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Anisha, and this is John. And we started going here about a year ago, and we feel like we've been here a lot longer. We feel so at home. We're very grateful to be a part of this open-hearted and open-minded community. I was shaking. Ooh, I thought I was feeling calm. And take a deep breath. Oh, okay. I can get my glasses on. Okay. We want to share with you a spiritual journey that changed not only our lives, but our life perspective. And it began on March 23rd, 2012, when our oldest son, Kevin, who'd been battling alcoholism and addiction for 10 years, ended his life. To help you follow our story, I want to share a little bit about our history. John's parents were Catholic, And they were a part of a progressive Catholic community that worshiped in each other's homes, stayed together until they all left the earth. I think they're still together now. My parents were Catholic, traditionally so. They converted to fundamentalist Christianity when I was a young teen. And they continue to see the world through a literal translation of the Bible. So you can probably guess who has more religious issues between the two of us here. We raised our children without religion, but with faith in a compassionate Great Spirit, who we communed with in nature. We loved to camp, and we still do. About a year after the birth of our third child, I became disabled by chronic pain and systemic illness that progressively took my ability to move and to function independently. I was a medical mystery for 20 years, until 2011, when I was diagnosed and treated for a Parkinsonian movement disorder. My illness was tough on John and our kids. But right now, currently, we're raising our grandson, Kevin's son. We have 2 living adult children, a son and daughter-in-law, and a baby granddaughter. We're a diverse family. 2 of our children are transgender. Our adult children live far away, but when we get together, we have so much fun. In September, we all went to Brandi Carlile concert at Red Rock Stadium, and our son, who doesn't express himself often, kept saying, "This is epic." I was able to climb the steep pathway to the stadium with them, which would have been impossible in the past. Brandi played her song "This Year," written for her high school friend who took his life. It hit our family like arrows in our hearts, and we wept together for Kevin. Suicide isn't easy for a family to survive. Ours has, and we are grateful.
We're going to tag team this a bit. And I'm John, for those who haven't met. Kevin was born highly sensitive. He was creative and highly intelligent. He led his younger brother and sister in imaginal play, sewing costumes and making stuffed animals at a very young age. His sensitivity presented many challenges in raising him. We made changes in how we raised him compared to what society or our own preconceptions called for. We had to cut tags out of all of his clothes because of how they itched. Bright lights and loud noises caused sensory overload. He hated any level of change or anything new, like going to school or a shift in any plans. But what a joy he was. We conversed with him as a 5-year-old, answering deep and existential questions he had. If God made all of us, who made God? What happens when the population of the world gets too big? And this isn't written here, but he often talked about the lemmings and the myth of lemmings jumping off the cliff. And he thought, are we all going to have to run off a cliff? I mean, he was very young when he had these questions. Anisha mentioned her illness. It increased with debilitating symptoms, forced me to be like a single parent as well as a caregiver. We moved too often, trying to find situations that provided better support. I had a demanding job. Stress was high. That combined with Kevin's high sensitivity, struggles in school. He had dyslexia and ADHD, and he inheriting an addiction gene, set him up for very tough teenage years. He turned to alcohol and drugs. There were multiple occurrences of fights in school and him entering the legal system. I was fortunate that my job as an engineer at Hewlett-Packard enabled a lot of flexibility between attending after-school functions, sporting events of Kevin's siblings, managing homework, cooking and shopping, along with caring for Anisha and constant medical research, fighting the healthcare system, then managing Kevin's growing problems with school and law and rehab. Life was extremely difficult. In Kevin's early 20s, he married his high school sweetheart and had a baby, Mason. But his addictions, financial struggles, and forced rehab took a toll. In early 2012, when Kevin was on probation and had to pass drug tests, he used K2 spice as a synthetic marijuana for the high it offered him without being detected in drug tests. That was at the time. I think they detect it now. These synthetic drugs are horrible, causing heart palpitations, psychotic breaks. After a psychotic episode in March of that year, he was transported to the hospital and then the psych hospital. Unfathomably, they released him after 3 days. After not showing up that same afternoon to pick up Mason from childcare, we all got worried. Anisha and I went instead to pick up Mason, and on our way home from picking him up, I got a call from the coroner. Kevin was dead, and our lives were shattered.
There are no words. It was hard to breathe. It was hard to swallow water. The weight of the permanence of his death was unbearable. In the first full day without him on earth, I cleaned and scrubbed the house, and I wailed and sobbed and cleaned some more. Kevin was a clean freak, and I felt close to him, cleaning. I remember my family that day, John in his office. I don't know how he did it, making all the calls that you have to, coroner, funeral home, etc. Kevin's siblings, who never knew a life without him in it, and Kevin's wife, now a 23-year-old widow, were draped across the sectional, silent, unmoving, no color in their skin. I remember wondering if they would survive, if we would survive. The second night after Kevin died, sleep eluded me until about 1 a.m. And at 3, I awoke to what I'd been taught in my family, in school, by my society, was absolutely impossible. I woke up to Kevin. His presence floated between my head and the ceiling of our bedroom, which was filled with golden light, unconditional love, and ineffable peace. It shimmered in each and every particle, every atom, every quark. I called it grace, the grace field. He talked to me clearly in what I now understand to be telepathy, mind-to-mind communication, in this case, spiritual telepathy. Kevin's pure consciousness communicating with mind still in physical form. Mom, I'm a good soul, he said. I didn't think I was. There is no space or time here. I could feel it, no time, no space. Mom, everyone remembers backwards, but you and I remember forwards too. We remember the day I died. You remembered the day I died when you bought your little car and felt so sick. It was because you remembered you'd learn of my death while driving in it. Wake Dad up, wake Madeline up. Tell them I'm here and what I've told you. I did, and they both said, that sounds like Kevin. And they could have said a lot of other things. I feel so blessed. When I walked out of our room that morning, I walked into a new world. I saw everything through a golden lens. I walked in complete oneness and peace. My son's spirit had awakened me, called a sudden spiritual awakening, triggered by what is called an after-death visit or encounter, which is a type of near-death experience. He had also let me know he was, and I am, psychically gifted. I remember when he told me, this is before his passing, when he's alive, that his friend in high school who died appeared in his living room and spent time talking with him. I remembered his wife telling me about his being overwhelmed by psychic experiences following a profound mystical experience. It seems Kevin also experienced a sudden spiritual awakening. A few months before he died, he shared an experience with me that had frightened him. I dismissed what he shared, and I responded with fear. I now know how essential it is for the experiencer's well-being to have someone to share and process with when they have extraordinary experiences beyond the 5 senses. someone who's knowledgeable about the unseen world and such experiences.
Phew. Lot going on there, but I remember that night. Anisha woke up my daughter and me and shared that Kevin was speaking to her about remembering forward. I've never thought of anything like this before. It was really something. But I remember saying, oh my gosh, this is exactly what Kevin would say. It brought me comfort and true belief that Kevin was with us in spirit. Early the next morning, Anisha woke me up again to share a dream she just had. I vividly remember her description of this dream, or rather a nightmare. Kevin was standing on the floor, and all around him the floor opened up, and various demons and monsters rose up to grab Kevin and pull him down and down and down. This felt so accurate for what Kevin experienced in the months and weeks leading up to his death. These 2 nights of experiences left me knowing that Kevin was with us. It was comforting and hard. I had almost no experience with death before this. I never thought about a spirit world or that consciousness can continue after physical death.
Life now consisted of profound grief, profound wonder, countless synchronicities. Our minds blew open even more the week after Kevin died, when we sought support from a grief counselor, both for our grief and to have a professional assess my sanity. I was sincerely worried.
Me too.
Yes. I sat across from our counselor while John paced the floor behind me. Then I felt the grace-filled again come over me. 2 beautiful spirits filled my third eye. The counselor's father, who passed recently, and her niece, who passed 5 years before. I saw images of horses and injury, and I learned she died in a horseback riding accident. I left the counselor's office with an assurance that I was sane and that I was a medium. I was connecting with the whole spiritual world, not just Kevin, and it was overwhelming. Every day was filled with things like this. A painter came to finish a project upstairs. Suddenly, the image of a young woman with long black-brown hair appeared in my third eye, right in here in the center, behind it. She showed me her crooked chin and told me it bothered her terribly. She asked me to talk to our painter. I didn't want to be Teresa Caputo, and I did my best to ignore the young spirit. But she didn't stop her insistence. I told her that I would tell him if and when. I tried to come up with an impossible scenario. When I leave the house tomorrow morning and he's painting, when I pull the car out of the garage, if he happens to walk into the garage and stand in the center of it, I will talk to him. No way, right? Right. Well, as I backed out of the garage, he opened the door, walked out, and stood in the center. I couldn't believe it, but I had to keep my end of the deal, and I was nervous, and I was shaking. It turns out she was once his fiancée. He said she didn't like her crooked chin. She wanted him to know he has her blessing and what a good dad he is to his 4 sons. Two months after Kevin died, John's healthy, vibrant mom was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. We made the drive from Boise to California as often as we could. One morning when we were there, I was meditating in the guest room. I became aware of a tall, pretty long-haired, red-headed spirit. She told me her name was Bridget and she was Joan's aunt. I knew she had an aunt named Bridget and that she died when she was young, but that's all that I knew. She wanted to talk to Joan. I told her no. I didn't know what Joan thought of my abilities, and I didn't want to upset her. She had enough to deal with. And then I heard, it's called clairaudience, my ears as loud as can be, we have this in control, let go. I was just learning about spirit guides. That's a subject for another day. To my surprise, so I listened, went to Joan, and she wanted to sit with me and her Aunt Bridget. I was nervous. You can see I can get quite nervous, and I was then. And it's hard to see what's in your third eye when you're nervous. It took a long time, but when I relaxed, Joan validated that I was describing the apartment she lived in as a kid. And then I walked in my third eye and guided Joan with me into a bathroom with a clawfoot tub that had spots of blood at the bottom. I pointed to my right pinky toe. My focus was on my right pinky toe, and told Joan, there's blood both on my pinky toe in the bathtub. And she gasped. She said, I have never told anyone this story. It happened when I was 7. Bridget took a bath and her pinky toe was bleeding and bleeding. And I told my mom, and Bridget had to go back to the hospital, and she died a few days later. And then I went home, and the next week I was meditating, and Joan's mom came to me. I had never met her. She and Joan's sister died in a car accident when Joan was in her 20s. There was an unwritten rule in the family, you do not speak of the accident, so I didn't know much about it at all. Just they were on their way home from California to Chicago. Her mom, Mary, brought me to the accident scene, once again in my third eye. And I experienced the accident as if I were her. I called Joan and told her all that I'd seen. She told me I was wrong about where Mary ultimately took her last breath, and that was okay. But then she called her brother, who had the accident report. It turns out I had all the correct information. Mary was a teacher, a lot of teachers in John's family with callings to be teachers. She taught me that a spirit can ethically bring you to the Akashic records, the universal records of everything. But ethically, they cannot bring you to someone else's records. Ethics in this work are important to me, and I was happy to learn of spirit's ethics.
There's a lot going on that year with us trying to grieve and my mom getting ill like that. The 14 months between the passing of Kevin and then my mom were incredibly difficult. My mom was always strong and graceful in how she dealt with anything, and her death was no different. We really felt like she taught us how to die in that year, very, very treasured year. Yet as she declined, it got more and more difficult for her, and especially for my dad. They had been married for 55 years and were very close. However, these readings that Anisha just shared brought about a change with them. My mom suddenly was witness to her loved ones in spirit. And most importantly, that consciousness continues after death. This gave her great comfort in the weeks leading up to her transition. My dad, whose grief was going deeper and deeper, also was lifted up by these experiences. During Mom's final months, he was comforted knowing he could be with her and that they would continue to be together. It's difficult to express how amazed and grateful I am to Anisha and to Kevin and to spirit guides for showing us the continuity of consciousness. I've been witness to countless evidential readings that Anisha's had with others. The comfort and knowing it gives me guided me in my grief journey. It still does. It never ends. Not a day goes by that I don't think of Kevin and pray with him, especially in the raising of his son and in my own health challenges. I'm grateful to Spirit. I'm grateful to Kevin and my people in Spirit for the constant guidance they provide, for the love that is always present.
still overwhelmed by it all. I was beginning to realize that using my abilities with the people I knew was helping me to focus my abilities, to not be so overwhelmed by perceiving so much. And a friend suggested I read with the members of a spiritual group that she was in, to practice reading with people I didn't know. And I learned a lot from reading with the group members. And just 5 months after Kevin died, with his guidance and help, I started a private practice and worked full-time as a medium. I was put in a book during this time, The 50 Best Psychics in America. All was surreal. I was very aware of my grief, though, and sometimes connecting with Kevin's spirit made his death all the more real. 2 years after Kevin's death, we fought for custody of his son, who was in an abusive and neglectful situation. We became parents of a young child again. The guidance Kevin provided for raising Mason blew our minds too, and still does, and we'll save those stories for another day. Dark nights of the soul are very real and essential for the journey of spiritual growth and development, and they are tough. The 3rd year after Kevin died, I entered a dark night of the soul. I think of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, his favorite stories, and Gandalf, symbolizing what I call the grace field, right? God, Great Spirit, Source, who journeyed with the adventurers for quite a while and then left them to practice what he taught them and to find the strength he had provided within themselves. And so it was for me. Kevin took leave. His visits were further apart, and I began a journey of assimilating a new reality and these abilities into my everyday life and into my little self. It was time for me to face my shadows as well. John and I met many adventures. I rented an office from a landlord who taught me the definition of evil. Grief had taken us in very different directions, and we separated for a while. Shortly after we made our way back together, Mason got very sick with a severely painful autoinflammatory disease. It left lesions and holes in his bones. And we came into the pandemic. John hit a big medical crisis. I often filled with self-doubt and frustration. What had all the wondrous experiences been for? Did Kevin take greater distance because I failed him? Did I fail the grace field? I doubted my abilities, felt ashamed of them and my extraordinary experiences. So confusing in this society. How do you live when abilities like that come natural in a society that doesn't believe what you're perceiving is real and judges you for them? I shut my abilities down, packed up my memories of the wondrous experiences with Kevin and my work, and began to store them in the cabinets of my unconscious. Just easier not to have these abilities, I was finding at the time. In the midst of my long, dark night, a soft-spoken, gentle spirit, not Kevin, woke me up at 3 a.m. It is a special time, and telepathically told me, follow Edgar Cayce. Well, some of you may have heard of Edgar Cayce. Called the Sleeping Prophet, is one of the greatest psychic healers of the 20th century. Along with the Association of Research and Enlightenment, he founded a university, now called Atlantic University. In the midst of the dark night of the soul, I began working towards a master's degree in transpersonal psychology and consciousness. And I want to put here that I didn't earlier, that I'm someone who loves to work, and the 20 years of chronic illness, I could not work. So all of this is just, was an impossibility, right? I wanted to learn all I could about what happened after Kevin died. If I was going to work as a medium, meeting people in the energy of the spiritual world, I wanted to know everything I could about it, about the expansion of consciousness, I wanted to become a good navigator to be able to guide others. This past spring, after I completed my culminating project, which is like a thesis, and graduated, finally it took 6 years. For my project, I created a protocol for the processing and integration of profound, extraordinary experiences. I found unexpected healing and understanding for myself of my 3 years of experiences with Kevin and as a medium, as well as my grief. Since my graduation, I've stepped out of a long, dark night of the soul onto my red road. In Native American spirituality, a red road is a path that is in alignment with your soul's essence and purpose. My experiences with my sun spirit, my long, dark night of the soul, my inner work, my shadow work, my journey of learning and training has given me a greater understanding of my true soulful self, of my inherent psychic and spiritual abilities, and of our vast, cosmic, conscious, unconditionally loving, always creating, alive and active, engaging with us, web of grace. Today, I'm close to done with my training as a shamanic practitioner, which was inspired by Kevin's spirit, who let me know he was a shaman spirit. And I didn't know what that was. But then I learned how much Native spirituality has for those who are having a hard time with addiction, with mental illness. I also certified in spiritual hypnosis, which is really cool. Helps people explore the essence and history of their soul. And I'm a student of energy healing. I'm also a skeptic. I love science and research. Quantum physics fascinates me. And when I can get my mind around a concept, it usually flows with what I've come to know through my experiences. I've renewed my love for the work of mediumship and am embracing my abilities, which I understand now allow me to be an instrument in divine service. Along with helping people in grief, I specialize in helping people find and walk their red road. I have a vision of a research center with the purpose of bringing psychic and spiritual literacy to our society and to support our highly sensitive, psychically and spiritually gifted humans to walk their red roads, to bless us with their gifts, and to experience soulful fulfillment and to stay here on earth until they meet that fulfillment. To give someone the gift of meaning and purpose, like my son's spirit has given me, is like teaching a hungry person to fish. The gift doesn't stop giving. The gift my son gave me, the illumination of our greater spiritual reality and my true soulful self, I know he gave me for the love of his son. He prepared me to raise him. Kevin's spirit, in the grace of our divine source, helped us see and find meaning and purpose amid the darkness of his suicide. He taught us that there is no darkness that the divine is not with us in. He taught us that love is the ultimate power of the cosmos with no beginning or end. We close this with Viktor Frankl's words from his book, Man's Search for Meaning. Words that he spoke to his fellow prisoners in the icy, dark hopelessness of a Nazi concentration camp. I told my comrades that human life, under any circumstances, never ceases to have a meaning, and that this infinite meaning of life includes suffering and dying, privation and death. Someone looks down on each of us in difficult hours. A friend, a wife, someone alive or dead, or God, and he would not expect us to disappoint him. You are each eternal. You are divine. You are love. And you and we, right now and always, are connected to the grace field. And so it is. Thank you for letting us share.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere, and every thought's indeed a prayer.
I'm going to guide us in meditation today. This is called Divine Perception. The intent of quieting our minds, also bringing awareness to our eternal consciousness in each of our one-of-a-kind, unique way of perceiving divine energy. So close your eyes and take a deep, slow, cleansing breath. And another. Bring your awareness within your physical body, to your toes, your knees, your hips, your waist, elbows and fingertips. Bring your awareness to your shoulders, your jaw, your ears, the top of your head. Now take another slow cleansing breath, and as you exhale, let go of any tension. Let it flow with your breath out the bottom of your feet. Now bring your awareness to your center, where your physical being and your eternal consciousness meet. For some, this may be your heart. For others, it may be behind your belly button, or a little below or above it. Wherever you sense your center, let your breath naturally flow from there. Let your breath naturally arise from your center. Bring your awareness now to the stillness within, to your eternal consciousness, the part of you that is not thinking, not making any judgments, just being, just aware, just present to what is right now. Now become aware of the divine grace field that you are a part of, that's holding you and us gently right now, asking nothing of you but your presence. Allow yourself to simply be in the divine grace field. We all perceive divine energy in very different ways, as unique as we are. Some feel and sense it physically. Some perceive it visually in their third eye in images, colors, and symbols. Others hear it, sometimes with their ears and sometimes within their minds. Some experience knowing in their solar plexus. Some experience a combination of ways. Allow yourself to perceive the divine energy that you're in right now in your own unique way. When you're ready, bring your awareness back to your physical body slowly. And wiggle your toes, your fingers, roll your shoulders. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you.
May the blessings of God rest upon me. May God's peace reside in me. May God's presence illuminate my heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
So Anisha and John, thank you. Thank you. Thank you from this community for your willingness to come and share these life experiences that are so deep and wonderful blessing to us. Now it's time for us to participate in gratefulness. Gratefulness for what we've heard, gratefulness for this community, gratefulness for all that we are. And we do that through the sharing of our offering. And so I invite you to take your offering and just hold it gently in your hand. Just say, I'm grateful. I am grateful. And so as the ushers come forward, let's go ahead and bless our offering. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, birds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, are high above all the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I?
Okay, thank you, Elise. She's going to get her guitar and we're going to sing. Sing the kids in, right? Okay.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I said, this bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, yeah. I said, you on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ain't one more, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Okay, who's going to MC these kids?
Well, we interviewed Ann Hudgens today, the fabulous Ann, and the kids had very profound questions for her, and she had profound answers. So, which one of you guys were going to go first? Okay.
Well, my question was, if you had a superpower, what superpower would it be? She said there's wars in different countries, and if she had a superpower, that superpower would be to bring peace to the world.
My question is, what is something that not very many people know about Anne? And her answer was that her daughter is Islamic. Anne had futuristic dreams. One was that her daughter would come into the world, and she said that her name was Grace.
And Brendan asked what her favorite holiday was, and she said she liked Christmas with her kids.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. So at the end of our service today, there's a lunch bunch. In fact, I've been asked to have you indicate if you're going to go and join the lunch bunch so they can have enough seats. So if you want to raise your hand if you plan to go and join the lunch bunch. You got the count out there? Okay, good. And there's also a council meeting right after the service. You're invited to attend if you are inclined to. Anything else going on in this community that you want to? Is it prayer chaplain? Myrtle room, okay. All right, well, let's all circle up, close our service with a prayer of protection, and then the peace song. Okay, on the screen we have our words of our prayer protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Before we sing, do you see a picture on the screen? Can you envision that for our world? Just take that in for a moment. A world where we all live in peace. So that's the meaning of our peace song. Let's go ahead.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Creator, and we all are we. As we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternal.